This is my first time filming, so bear with me. I'm going to try and pretend that you're all still here with me and teach you as I normally would. So you'll notice I've only got a mat this morning to avoid having to use any props. So you've got stuff at home. If you know that your body needs props, you can sit on cushions, you can use a tie instead of a belt if there's anything that you feel that you need. But I've kept the sequence quite simple this morning. So we're just going to do the standing poses, level 1 beginner standing poses. So I'm glad that we can find this way that we can still all practice together. So just sitting however you would normally sit comfortably, either cross legs or sit on your heels, stretch your legs out. Or if you feel that you'd rather lie down this morning, that's fine as well. So we'll just take a couple of minutes to start with, just to quieten. So make sure that you're lengthening your spine upwards. Use your fingertips to help that. So roll your shoulders back and then let your shoulders release down. And then carefully join your hands and just being conscious of the openness of your collarbones and chest. And then gently close your eyes now. So just take a minute to notice how your body feels. So just tuning into any sensations in the body. Making any adjustments that you need to if you're not feeling comfortable. And just making sure that you're sitting evenly and that your head is level. And then letting your eyes settle and quieten. So behind your eyelids, the eyeballs are turning downwards. And releasing any tension in your face. Just allow your face to soften. And then bring your awareness now to your breath. Let your breath gradually even out and becoming smooth and steady. And just give yourself this time to simply be just watching your breath flowing smoothly, evenly in and out through your nose. And then keep your chest bone lifted now as you lower your head. And then just release your hands, let the back of the hands rest onto your legs. And then slowly opening your eyes towards the floor first, before you slowly raise your eyes and your head to level again. Okay, so just release your legs out straight for a minute. So we're starting with our usual warm-up poses. So Adha Mukha Virasana. So if you just come and sit back on your heels, first of all. And again, if you know that you would normally use blocks, you can improvise with a cushion or something on your heels. Just make sure that your knees are wide and that you're sitting firmly on your heels now before you begin to come forwards. And if you feel like you need support underneath your head, you can improvise with that as well. But just see that your arms are extended, so spread the fingers so your hands are active, the arms are active. Settling into the pose, so observe how your body feels there, notice where you're feeling any tight muscles, any stiffness in any of the joints. But gradually see if you lengthen forwards a little more as you stay in pose. So if you just lift your head from time to time, lift your chest down forwards. You lengthen your front body more. Okay, now from there, if you just come forward onto your hands and knees, we're coming into dog down. So take your little fingers, little toes to the outer edges of your mat, so going wide for the first dog down. And just start by making sure that you place your hands carefully so the fingers are well spread. And you're pressing into the base of your fingers so that you're not too heavy on the wrists. From there, just push up off your knees and come into dog down. And we'll just bend the knees slightly to start with, so you can see how I can get a better stretch through my spine now. So stretch your hips back, so feel the length of the spine. And now see if you can keep that as you slowly begin to push your thighs back to straighten your legs. And see there as well, so you can see the feet, see that your feet are pointing straight back. Just lengthen your heels back and down towards the floor. Okay, and then from there we'll just bring your knees back onto the floor, just come back to your heels for a moment. So stretch forwards back into Adho Mukha Vrasana. Once more coming back to dog down. So we're going to take the hands to shoulder width apart this time. So again, make sure that you spread the fingers well. So feet are hip distance apart now as you come back into dog down. And again, we'll just bend the knees slightly to start with. So stretch the hips back away from the hands. Lift your sitting bones. Now try not to disturb the spine as you slowly push your thighs back to straighten the legs again. And see, can you get your heels down a little bit closer towards the floor this second time. Okay, now from there, if you bend your knees and then walk your feet forward, so coming into Uttanasana. So we're going to separate your feet as wide as your mat and just line up the little toe side of the feet to cover the outer edges of your mat. And again, you can improvise with props there. I'm not sure what you could use for your hands, but I'm sure you can find something at home. But just bring your weight back to your heels for a moment, just lift up onto the heels. So spread your toes and then lengthen the soles of your feet as you bring them down again. And just find, so I'm just bringing the hips slightly backwards and forwards and then finding where the weight is over the centre of the arch of the feet. Okay, and legs are firm, so the kneecaps, thigh muscles are pulled up. And then from there, if you just hold your elbows and just let yourself quietly hang. So let your head release down, so let your neck release. And just take a few breaths there. So as you exhale, let your elbows become a little bit heavier. then when you're ready to come out, if you bring your hands back to underneath your shoulders and just look forwards, extend your spine forwards, lift the outer shoulders away from the floor. And then as you come up, so make sure that the kneecaps and thigh muscles are pulled up. So we're coming up with the back straight. Now if that's a problem for your lower back, bend your knees instead as you bring yourself up. Okay, and then we're going to turn the other way now, so coming into some of the standing poses. So beginning with Tadasana, so basic standing pose, mountain pose. So if you join your inner feet together, and just focusing on your feet first of all, just lift your toes away from the floor, spread out your toes. And again, being conscious of where the weight is in your feet. So if we find where we're centered evenly over the feet, you'll see that your inner foot, your outer foot are evenly pressing, but the arches of the feet are lifted as well. So press the feet to extend your spine upwards, your shoulders back, chest open. So just look straight ahead. And just breathe into this. Now from there we're going to come into a chest opening pose, Gaynor, head and cow pose. So again you can improvise, you can use a tie or whatever you've got if you can't reach the fingers for this. I'm going to turn the other way so you can see my hands. So from Tadasana we're going to bring your right arm round, bring the back of your hand in between your shoulder blades. And then stretch the other arm up. Now, see that you turn this upper arm fully, so that you're bringing the hand straight down. And catching hold of the fingers if you can manage. If not, then if you don't want to use props, you can just hold your t-shirt or whatever you're wearing instead this morning. But once you've caught hold, then roll the right shoulder back. So see that you're opening your collarbone on the right side. And then just looking straight forwards, eyes steady, and pull on your fingers or on your belt, whatever you're using, to take this top elbow and come back. And just stay steady and breathe. And just observing the rest of your body as well. So see that your thighs are back, your front ribs are back so that you're not arching on the side. Okay, and then just release and stretch your arms down before we do the other side. So if you bring the left arm round first in between, we can use this hand as well just to encourage that the hand to go up a little bit further in between your shoulder blades. And then stretch the other arm up to catch hold. And again, once we've caught hold, then roll the left shoulder back. So if you find that that shoulder is kind of stuck forwards, you may just need to release that hand a little bit lower to give you that openness on that side. The chest lifted. Just pull with your bottom hand, so you can take that top elbow a little higher. And then again, bringing your attention to the rest of the body, so the thighs back, front ribs back. Breathe. Okay, and then just release now and stretch your arms down. Okay, so I'm going to turn to the side for the next one so that you can see the shape of my body from the side. So we're going to do Utkatasana. So we know it is chair pose, the literal translation is awkward or fierce pose. So beginning from Tadasana, so the inner feet are joined, your toes are spread. as if you're sitting down into a chair. Okay, but see that as you bend your knees, the sitting bones are going down towards the floor, so we're not sticking your bottom out behind you. And head level. And just hold it and breathe. And notice where the weight is in your feet, so just see if you can take your weight back towards your heels and press your heels. But make sure that you're not holding your breath. Okay, and then inhale as you bring yourself back up. And then exhale and bring your arms back into Tadasana. And just take a few breaths there. So we are going to do that pose twice because it's a one-sided pose. We will repeat it. So take a couple of breaths first. And then inhale and stretch your arms up. So exhale as you bend your knees and come back into the pose. Again, making sure that sitting bones are going down towards the floor. And that your head is level as well. We tend to want to push the head forwards when we take the arms back. Just stay, breathe. So keep the stretch of your arms upwards. And then inhale as you come up. So exhale and bring your arms back down to Tadasana. And just take a few breaths there. So notice your breath, just allow it to settle back to the normal pace again. Okay, so we're going to do balancing pose next. We're going to do relaxation, tree pose. So if you know that you struggle with your balance yourself, you can go to the wall for this if you want. You don't particularly need your mat either. So we're starting off with the left side of your body facing the wall if you're using the wall. Now first of all, if you just lift onto your heels, just lengthen and broaden both your feet and join the inner feet together. So we're going to catch hold of your ankle, place the sole of your foot against your inner thigh. If you can manage, if knees are a problem for you, you can take that foot lower to wherever it needs to go. But just watch that it's not pushing against your inner knee. If it only comes to there, take it to below your knee. But we're aiming, if you can, to get the heel right into the top of the thigh. And then, so if you just make sure that your hips are level, so the pelvis is facing forwards, and then stretch the back of the hips down towards the floor. So I'm pressing the sole of the foot, pressing the inner thigh into each other. So it's very much a two-way action there. And then if we can balance, then we're going to take your hand away from the wall and stretch your arms up. And just stay steady, breathe. Okay, and then after a few breaths, if you bring your arms down first and then join your feet again. So just take a moment in Tadasana before we change sides. So if you are using the wall for balance, then obviously I'm going to turn around to the other side now. So just prepare your feet again, first of all, to lengthen and broaden both your feet. And then so bring up your left foot now. And again, we just make sure first of all that your pelvis is facing forwards. Also that you're not leaning that right hip out towards the wall. So we're sucking this outer hip in. And then, so if you feel steady enough, then you can take the hands away from the wall to balance. And if you just find a point, so just below eye level, but let your eyes become very quiet and focused. And just watch your breath. And then when you're ready to come out, you bring your arms down first of all, and then just join your feet back together into Tadasana. Okay, so we're going to do Trikonasana next, triangle pose. So starting all the standing poses from a good strong Tadasana first of all, mountain pose. So your chest is open, your arms are already active. And then if you bring your hands across your chest, now you're either going to jump your feet apart. Now if you do have any back or any joint issues, you can just step your feet rather than jumping. But if you start off with the outer feet parallel with each other and extend your arms. And then so you're going to turn your left foot slightly in and then turn your right leg out. Now make sure you've got a good distance here in between your feet. And then so you're going to turn this front leg, so you can see that action as I'm using my hand to help. You can do that too. So you're turning from the top of your leg so that your kneecap is looking straight forwards over the front foot. And then so both the legs are firm, so I'm pressing through both feet. The kneecaps and thigh muscles are pulled up, and then you're going to stretch forwards and bring your hand down to your shin and your top hand to your waist. Now if you look down here and make sure that your head is directly above your ankle, we can tend to want to take the head forwards. So if you need to, the hand can come higher up that shin. If you're quite flexible, your hand can go down to the floor behind your ankle. And we're rolling the top shoulder back to bring the shoulders on top of each other. Now again, if you find that the chest is looking towards the floor, if you bring your hand higher up your shin, you can get a better turn. And then from there, we're going to take your top arm up and then turn and look up towards your top thumb. And just stay for a few breaths there. And then when you're ready to come up, if you press your feet and inhale to bring yourself back up. Just turn your feet face forwards and then take a few breaths. Okay, and then we're going to the left side now. So that back foot's going to turn slightly in. And then you're going to turn this left leg out. Now, if we just check the alignment of your feet there as well, so we want to line the inner heel, the heel up with the instep of your back foot. Okay, but if you know that you're struggling with that, if your hips are tight, we'll take that front foot more so it's in line with your toes, really further forward. But most important part of Trikonasana is making sure that we turn this front leg first. So extend your arms. So press your feet and exhale as you come forward and bring your hand down. And just taking that top hand to the waist for a moment, so while we get the turning of this top shoulder, we bring the shoulders on top of each other. And take your arm up, look up. Take a few breaths there. And then to come out, press your feet and inhale as you bring yourself up. So turn your feet, step and jump back to Tadasana. And just take, in fact, we'll just step your feet a little way apart. We'll come into Uttanasana in between the standing poses because we've got a few of them to do. So if you just hold your elbows, just let yourself hang down for a few breaths. And just let your breathing settle for a moment. Obviously this is on video, so if at any time you want to stop the video and rest, you can do that. Okay, so we're going into Virabhadrasana 2 next, Warrior 2 pose. So So when you're ready, so we're going to take your feet a little bit wider apart than you were for Trikonasana. So we're turning that back foot slightly in, your left foot slightly in. Turn your right leg out. And make sure that you're pressing firmly through both the feet. So we're going to bend this front knee into a right angle. Now there, I'm just making sure that this inner leg is lined up with the front edge of your mat. So what we tend to want to do is take that knee forward. So I'm bringing the knee back. And then, so you're going to extend your arms and look along the middle finger of your front arm. But I'm pulling back through that back hand as well, so that we're not chasing forwards over this front leg. So you're going to keep the trunk lifted. And just take a few breaths. So let your sitting bones sink towards the floor. And then press your foot to straighten the front leg. So turn your foot to face forwards. And then go to the other side. Okay, so make sure that your weight is evenly distributed through both feet so that when we bend this front knee, we're not just throwing all the weight forwards. And then to bring the bend knee back so that your inner thigh is lined up with the front edge of your mat. And roll the shoulders back and down and look along the middle finger of your front arm. And see, are you in a right angle there? Could you maybe bend that front knee a little bit deeper? And then press your feet, straighten your front leg, turn your feet, step or jump, and come back to Uttanasana. So we'll just take a little minute there. If you take your feet a little wider, hold your elbows and just hang down in Uttanasana for a few breaths. So watch your breath while you're there, just allow your back to step up. So when you come back up out of Uttanasana, if you release your hands, bring your hands under your shoulders, extend your spine forwards before you bring yourself forward. So we're coming up with the back straight. Again, if that's too much for your lower back, then you bend your knees. And just join your feet together, come back to Tadasana. So we're going to do Parsvakonasana next, right angle pose. So when you're ready, jumping or stepping your feet wide again. Same distance as you just were for Virabhadrasana 2. So you're going to turn your back foot slightly in, turn your front leg out. So as if you're coming into Virabhadrasana 2 first of all. So we're going to line up that inner thigh with the front edge of your mat, making a right angle if you can. Now from there, so we're going to bring your hand down behind your ankle and just bring your hand onto your waist. Now often when we take the hand down, we start to instinctively straighten that leg. So we're keeping a right angle there. And then you're pressing your bent knee back into your arm. So turn your top shoulder. Now again, so if your chest is turning towards the floor in this, you may need a prop for your back hand. So something you can use instead of a brick, so that you can get a turn in your chest. And then from there, you're going to take your top arm up, turn your palm, then bring your arm over. So you'll see it should be one long line through the whole side body. And then if you press into the little toe side of your back foot, stretch all the way through to your fingertips. And then when you're ready to come out, press your feet and inhale, as you come up again. So if you turn your feet to face forwards, just take a few breaths before we go to the other side. Okay, so to your left side now. So come into your right angle, and again make sure that your weight is even through both feet. So press your back foot, and then come forwards, bring your hand down. Again, we'll just bring that top hand to the waist for a moment. And turn the top shoulder, your top ribs, and then we're going to bring this top arm up and over. Now that turning is coming from the upper arm. You can see there, so that the arm will come close over. And then, so as long as it's comfortable on your neck, and turn and look up. We'll press the bent knee into your arm, bent knee into your arm. And breathe. Okay, and then press your feet, inhale, bring yourself back up. Step or jump your feet back to Tadasana. And then, so just step your feet apart, hold your elbows and just let yourself hang again for a moment. So notice the quality of your breath and just allow the breathing to settle. Again, when you come back up, if you bring your hands to under your shoulders, extend your spine forwards, and then bring yourself slowly up. And then come back to Tadasana, join your feet, and take a few breaths. Okay, so the next pose we're going to do is Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 pose. So from Tadasana, we're going to step your feet wide again. Now I'm going to start by bringing the hands onto the hips for this. So we're going to turn your left foot deeply in, and then turn your right leg out. So we're turning the hips in this pose. So if you just lift that back heel for a moment, turn your heel further out, and then press your back heel to the floor. It doesn't matter so much if the heel is slightly away from the floor there, but we want to get the turning of your hips so that your pelvis is facing forwards over your front leg. Now press your back heel into the floor, or towards the floor if it's not there. And then from there, so we're going to bend your front knee, again making a right angle with the front leg if you can. But what we tend to do, I mean, you'll be able to see in my body in this, because it's quite a flexible lumbar, I'm arching forwards a bit there. We're trying to keep the tailbone stretching down towards the floor so that we're not overarching in the lumbar. And then, so we're going to take your arms out sideways, turn your palms, then stretch up. Again, as long as your neck's okay, then if you look up towards your hands, just take a few breaths there, see if you can take your thumbs a little bit further back. Then inhale to come up, turn your feet to face forwards. So we'll just bring your hands back onto the hips again as we go to the other side. So if you turn your right foot deep in now, turn your left leg. But now again we want to make sure that we've got the turning of the hips. So make sure that that back foot's turned deeply in so that you're not twisting your back knee. So stretch the back of the hips down, take your tailbone towards the floor, then bend your front knee. So making a right angle if you can manage. And then turn the palms up and stretch up. So look up if you can. press your back heel to the floor. And push the thigh back on the back leg. And then press the foot, inhale as you bring yourself up. Step or jump your feet back and come back to Tadasana. So just take a few breaths in Tadasana now. Okay, now we're going to do a balancing pose next. So we're going to do Ardha Chandrasana. Now again, you're at home. If you've got the luxury of a bare wall, you can use that if you know that you struggle with the balance. So it's this one. I'll demonstrate it with the wall, and then there's no danger of me falling over in the centre of the room. So if you want to use the wall, just have maybe about 3 or 4 inches in between this front leg and the wall. So that back heel is going to be a little bit closer to the wall, again, so that your heel is lined up with the instep of your back foot. I'm resting this front hip against the wall. Now again, we're turning from the top of the leg here, and then so you're going to come into Trikonasana first of all. And the wall is good to use for Trikonasana as well to get the alignment. So you're going to roll this top shoulder back so that that's resting on the wall. Okay, so the back body, the hip of the front leg, both shoulders should be on the wall currently. And then to go from there, so you're going to bend your knee. We're going to bring the hand down so it's in between the foot and the wall. Now again, you may know that you need some height for your hand for this, so improvise with what you've got at home. So if you hop your back foot closer in first of all, and we're going to straighten this front leg and balance. Again, so the back body is resting against the wall. So my front leg hip is on the wall. Rolling the top shoulder back so both shoulders are on the wall. And then you're stretching the heel away from you on your lifted leg. And then so we're going to turn, look up, and just bring your thumb so it's lined up over your face. So it's nice to practice this one with the wall because we can get a real sense of the openness of this pose without having to worry about your balance. But if you want to practice with balance, obviously you can do this on your mat away from the wall. So when you come out, if you come out with control, you bend your front knee, bring your back foot down and just come back to Trikonasana. And then come back up. Okay, and then we're going to the other side. Okay, so again, I'm making sure that I've got a little bit of space, enough space for my hand in between the foot and the wall. So coming into Trikonasana, collide with a plank there, so I'll come a little bit further back. So roll this top shoulder back, bring both shoulders onto the wall. And then, so if you bend your knee, bring your hand in between the foot and the wall, just hop the back foot closer in first, and then come forwards and balance. Okay, so you're going to roll this top shoulder back to the wall, roll the top ribs. And then see if you can roll that top hip back towards the wall as well. And then if you turn, look up. And then when you're ready to come out, bend your knee. Try and keep control on this bit. So we're going to bring that back foot down and come back to Trikonasana. And then inhale as you come up from there. And back to Tadasana. Okay, so we're going to come into a couple of forward bends now. So beginning to quieten a little bit. So So we're going to do Parsvottanasana. Now, we would normally use bricks for this, so if you know that your hamstrings are tight, you'll need 2 equal height supports if you want to use props. So if you step or jump your feet apart. And again, I'm going to bring the hands onto the hips first of all. So if you turn your left foot deeply in, your right leg out. Now, same as Virabhadrasana 1, we want to get the levelness of your hips first of all. So we're drawing this left hip forwards. And then if you roll your shoulders back, just look up and lift the chest and just curve back first of all. Now, as you come forwards, press into that back heel. And then, so we're going to bring your hands down to the floor. Now this is where, so if you struggle to keep that front knee straight, you might want to take something for your hands. If you don't want to work with props today, you can just bend that knee slightly if you want to start with. Then see if you can slowly push your thigh back as your leg begins to stretch. If you just look forwards and lift your chest forwards. So lift your outer shoulders away from the floor so that the chest is open. So we're not going to come into the full pose today, which would be taking the head down. We're just going to extend forwards. But keep pressing into your back heel. So you can see if you can maybe bring those lower ribs a little bit closer towards your front leg. Okay, and then to come up, so press your feet and inhale. And come back to face forwards. And then we're going to turn to your other side now, repeat on the other side. So make sure that your hips are level, so draw your hip forwards. Now I don't say left or right then, because I'm getting a little bit confused because normally I would be mirroring you. And I don't know how that's going to work on camera, so forgive me for that. So if you press your back heel into the floor, roll your shoulders back, you just look up first before you bring yourself forwards. Again, if you're using props, you will have already moved them around to the other side, hopefully, because I forgot to tell you to. So now just see there, are your hips level still? So this hip's coming forwards. The front leg, stretch the outer hip back. And see, is that kneecap lifted on the front leg? And if you're struggling to straighten that knee, take the height of your hands, or you can bend it, and then slowly see if you can push your thigh back and straighten it. Take a few breaths there. And then press your feet, inhale, as you bring yourself up. Turn your feet, and then jump or step back to test. Okay, so we're just going to come back to the back edge of your mat now. Another standing forward bend. So we're going to step your feet really wide now. And if you just, I'm using the back edge of the mat there to make sure that the heels are level with each other. As we're very wide with the feet, it's sometimes harder to judge the distance. But if you just lift up onto your heels for a moment, spread your toes, and turn your feet in slightly. So we want the feet to either be parallel or even turned in slightly. But press the outer feet into the floor and see that your kneecaps, your thigh muscles are lifted. And then as you roll the shoulders back, just look up and curve back first before you bring yourself forwards. And then just bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Now see where the weight is in your feet there. So just bring the weight slightly back to your heels and then extend your spine forwards. Now again, if hamstrings are tight, you can take something for your hands if you're struggling to straighten your knees. If your hands go to the floor easily, then from there we're going to walk your hands back to in between your feet. Now as I walk the hands back, I'm also pressing the heel of the hand into the floor, and that will help to keep the length on the front of my body, rather than just allowing yourself to bend from the waist. So what we're aiming for is taking the abdomen gradually back between your legs. And then you're just going to let your head release downwards. Now I'm still pressing into the outer feet there, so the inner legs are lifted all the way through to the top. But lift your shoulders away from the floor. And just gradually see if you can take the abdomen a little bit further back between your legs as you stay. Okay, and then when you're ready to come out, if you just walk your hands back to under your shoulders if you've walked them back. Now I'm just going to walk the feet in towards each other rather than attempting to jump from that wide. And then from there we're going to turn round to the side and just come down and rest for a minute. So if you take your knees wide, just rest down to the floor. And just watch your breath while you're there, so use your exhalations just as a reminder to let go of your body. And to come up, if you just walk your hands in towards you and come up to sitting. Okay, baby, please know it is time for Shavasana, relaxation. So, depending on your temperature at home, if you want to take any extra layers or a blanket, anything like that, if you want a thin cushion underneath your head or something, take whatever you need to allow your body to be comfortable now. So I'm coming into this from bent legs. So if you just lift your hips slightly first, stretch the back of the hips towards your heels, and then bring your tailbone onto the floor. And then so you're just going to ease yourself back from there, so that we're lengthening the spine as you come down to the floor. Now, if there's any lower back issues, if you prefer to keep your legs bent, you can just step your feet wide from there and keep the knees together. Again, you're at home, so use whatever you want to make sure that you'll be comfortable. So if you prefer, you can take a chair and rest your legs onto the chair. Up to you. But just make sure on the floor that your head isn't tilting backwards. So I'm just going to use the hands there into the base of the skull to draw the base of the skull away from my shoulders. Again, if you do find that it tilts back, take a cushion or something underneath. And then from there, if your lower back's okay too, just stretch your legs, lengthen them before you gently place them on the floor. And then if you lift your shoulders and roll the shoulders under one at a time. And then just let your arms rest a little way from your body.
Palms facing upwards if you're comfortable too. If that doesn't feel right for you, try turning them down, see how that feels. But take a minute now to let your body settle and let go. Just observing, first of all, the evenness of both sides of your body. So just be aware of how you've positioned the legs, that they're evenly separated, that your arms are evenly separated away from your body, and that your head also is level. It's not tilting over to one side. Just be conscious that you're on the centre back of your head. Just allow your ankles to relax so the feet can just fall away from each other. So let the calf muscles soften to the inner thighs, just releasing away from each other from the top of your legs. And then just letting the lower back release towards the floor. So there will be a slight gap if the legs are stretched out, but we don't want to feel that we're arching up there. Just allow your muscles to let go there and release towards the floor. So let the shoulders relax. And then just allowing your fingers to gently curl towards the palms of your hands. So allow the centre of your palms to soften. The back of your neck to release towards the floor. Just allow the weight of your body now to surrender to the earth. Just letting go completely with any effort. Allow your eyes to quieten, to the eyes looking towards your chest. Just letting the skin of your face soften. So as if the face was settling towards the back of your head. And then begin now to tune into your breath. Breath even, smooth and steady. And if you just bring your attention to rest on the nostrils, and just focus your attention there, just observing the flow of the breath at that point, as it passes in and out of your body. So if your mind wanders, just be aware that it's wandered and gently bring attention back to the breath. Just give yourself permission to let all thoughts go and simply be where you are right now. So I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes now to allow you that quiet time for your own Shavasana.
to continue and have a longer shavasana, you can turn it off right now and carry on as you are on the floor. But when you're ready to come up, just allow your attention to gradually come back to your body. So just taking a few deeper breaths, breathing deeply into your chest. You're ready, just starting to move your fingers and toes first of all, getting a little bit of movement back to your body. And then when you come up with your eyes closed. So if you bend your knee, turn to your right and then use your left hand on the floor. So as you come up with your eyes closed and just turn your head towards the floor as you bring yourself up. And then just come and sit back either in cross legs or whatever your comfortable position is for a minute. And just take this time, a moment or two, to check in with how you're feeling now. And just tuning into your breath again. Just bow your head down, join your hands together and connect the base of your thumbs to your chest now, to the heart area. And then slowly open your eyes first of all, before you raise your head to level again. Okay, I hope I didn't look too awful on camera. Thank you very much for being here and practicing with me today. Namaste. So stay safe, everyone, and we'll stay connected in this way for now. Hopefully we will be together again in more than just spirit soon.